Week 16 of the NFL season is going to be a week we do not forget, with classic games, intense division battles, big plays being made, people stepping up when they need to, people trying to separate themselves in MVP races. This was an incredible weekend of professional football, and this is going to set the tone for what's about to be in store for the playoffs in January. So, a productive conversation about week 16 in the NFL begins right here, right now, with me, your host, Matt Brown. So before we do that, I just want to remind you to like and subscribe to the Productive Conversations podcast on all podcasting platforms and YouTube. Don't forget to check out exclusive content regarding the show across all social media platforms. We're on Instagram at Productive Conversations Podcast, X at Prod Convo Pod, TikTok at Prod Convo Pod, and Facebook at Productive Conversations. And check us out at Productive Conversations Podcast on YouTube as well as all the other podcasts and platforms as mentioned: Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, all of that. And yeah, as we head into Christmas, it's the 22nd of December, and the holiday season is hitting its peak, and we're heading towards the end of the year. Just want to remind you all that we got the productive conversation regarding the first week. Sorry, we discussed the first round of the college football playoff. We go through all those games. That's available as well in all podcasted platforms and YouTube. And then we have on Wednesday the last tweet cap of 2025. That's the timeline where we go through every single major event across sports, news, entertainment, and culture in our year 2025. Then we are going to do a couple of shows. We have a reaction to week 17 of the NFL season. We got a reaction to the quarterfinals of the college football playoff, and then we're back at it on January 6th for the first tweet cap of 2026. And it's going to be a very big year. The country turns 250 years old. We're all getting older and wiser, so let's make the most of it. So just want to let you know all of that. And with that, let's talk about week 16 of the NFL season. And it's going to be a damn good conversation. So let's do it right now. Let's begin on Thursday night, where we had the Seattle Seahawks take on the Los Angeles Rams in a battle for the NFC West. The Seattle Seahawks win by a score of 38-37 in overtime. Seattle trailed 13-14 in the fourth quarter before mounting an historic rally. The Seahawks scored big special team plays and big offensive plays to stay alive, including a big 58-yard punt return touchdown from Rashid Shaheed that shifted the momentum. Seattle converted three. Sorry, let me repeat that. The Seahawks scored big on special teams and Seattle scored big on special teams and made big offensive plays to stay alive, including a 58-yard punt return touchdown from Rashid Shaheed that shifted momentum. Seattle converted three 2-point conversions during the comeback, including a bizarre play where a pass originally ruled incomplete was reviewed and ruled a backward pass that was picked up for a conversion that tied the game in regulation. Again, Seattle converted three 2-point conversions during the comeback, including a bizarre play where a pass originally ruled incomplete was reviewed and ruled a backward pass that was picked up for a Seattle converted two 3-point conversions. Seattle converted three 2-point conversions during the comeback, including a bizarre play where a pass originally ruled incomplete was reviewed and ruled a backward pass that was picked up for a conversion that tied the game in regulation. In overtime, the Rams struck first with a 41-yard Stafford to Puka Nacua touchdown. Then Seattle responded with a Sam Darnold touchdown pass to Jackson Smith-Njigba. Seattle responded with a Sam Darnold touchdown pass to Jackson Smith-Njigba. Seattle responded with a Sam Darnold touchdown pass to Jackson Smith-Njigba that went for two. Excuse me. Seattle responded with a Sam Darnold touchdown pass to Jackson Smith-Njigba that went for two and won it on a and they went for two and then they won it on a Sam Darnold to Eric Schubert conversion, winning the game. Sam Darnold had 270 passing yards for 2 touchdowns. Puka Nacua had a big receiving day, even amongst all this controversy. He had 225 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker III had over 100 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. With this win, Seattle clinches a playoff berth and takes over the NFC West. This dramatic collapse, as for the Rams, it was a dramatic collapse. But ultimately, I think if you know the game and saw it, that the Rams pretty much own this game for 80% of it. I still think the Rams are the best team in the NFC. Yeah, they had many miscues and missed opportunities and definitely allowed Seattle to score too much, especially on those big conversions in the red zone. But ultimately, this was one of the most dramatic regular season comebacks in NFL history, highlighted by special teams impact, rare 2-point conversions, and late game resilience that reshaped the NFC playoff picture. And now Seattle's on top and trying to control their destiny. Seattle can control their destiny. The Rams have their backs against the wall, but will still make the playoffs. And despite this win, humongous win for Seattle, very tough loss for Los Angeles. All right, plenty to discuss there, but incredible stuff. Am I right? So we had the Bears and the Packers play on Saturday night. The Bears win in overtime by a score of 22-16 over Green Bay. Chicago trailed by 10 points late in the fourth quarter, but they were able to get a big rally after that. The Bears scored 10 points in the final 2 minutes of regulation to tie the game. It was then capped off by a Jaheed Walker touchdown from Caleb Williams with 24 seconds left in the game. And in overtime, Caleb Williams connected with DJ Moore for a big 46-yard game-winning touchdown to seal the deal. Ultimately, Caleb Williams was clutch and he made big plays when it counted. Heck, this might be his I'm him game. This is Caleb Williams establishing himself as more than just a guy who paints his nails, more than a guy who does his own thing. He is a professional quarterback in the NFL who can create big comeback rallies for his team, who is in the right system and shows that he can play. DJ Moore, give credit to him with the big overtime touchdown. And Jordan Love, unfortunately, was concussed and exited the game. And though Malik Willis actually played pretty well, he's holding his own, running the ball, making passes. Ultimately, the Packers weren't able to recoup after the Jordan Love injury. Packers dominated early but struggled in key situations. They missed opportunities in the red zone, and they had big failures on special teams. As for the Bears, they now lead the NFC North and move closer to clinching a playoff spot and maybe even a game at home. The Packers are now on the outside looking in with 2 games left, trying to establish themselves in the division with Micah Parsons out from injury and Jordan Love injured and Josh Jacobs having his health issues. It's going to be a tough way for Green Bay moving forward with 2 games to go. If they don't make the playoffs, this will be a very disappointing season for them. Goes without saying, but very bad loss for Green Bay. Great win for Chicago. Let's go with the Eagles and the Commanders. The Eagles defeat the Washington Commanders by a score of 29-18. Philly clinched the NFC title for the 2nd straight year. They fell into some trouble early. They had an opening kickoff fumble. They had penalties. They missed field goals, but they ultimately rallied. Eagles took control after halftime with sustained drives and Tyree scoring. Saquon Barkley had 132 rushing yards and a touchdown, and he was able to cross 1,000 yards on the season. Jalen Hurts had 2 passing touchdowns and was steady with the offense. Dallas Goedert got a big touchdown, and now he has the most touchdown receptions in Eagles history for tight ends. Marcus Mariota already back up for Jalen Williams. Uh, Jalen Williams already for Jaden Daniels, and he gets hurt. Josh Johnson wound up going in the game, and he threw an interception. But yeah, the Eagles overcame a rough first half and was able to bounce back and earn a playoff berth, and they win the division. They are the champs in the NFC East now. And Washington, well, they got to figure their stuff out. Am I right? All right, another insane game. The Steelers and the Lions. A wild finish. Sorry. The Steelers and the Lions took each other on. The Steelers and the Lions took on each other in Detroit. The Steelers and Lions played against each other in Detroit. The Steelers win by a score of 29-24. A wild finish saw Detroit nearly win on the final play of the game, but a potential game-winning touchdown was erased by an offensive pass interference call on Amon-Ra St. Brown, sealing the Steelers' victory. And the way they got there, Pittsburgh built a big lead thanks to 2 rushing touchdowns from Jaylen Warren, both at 45 yards each. Kenneth Gainwell also delivered a big 45-yard touchdown reception before halftime. And ultimately, Jaylen Warren had 143 rushing yards and 2 long touchdown runs. Aaron Rodgers threw 266 passing yards and a touchdown. Jared Goff played great. He had 364 yards. Jared Goff had 364 yards and 3 touchdowns, but ultimately came up short. The final play was chaotic. It looked like Goff scored, but the penalty took it back. We also saw this game where DK Metcalf allegedly hit a fan, but we'll see what discipline happens there. But with this win, Pittsburgh keeps control of the AFC North, especially with the Ravens' loss, and they stay alive for a division title. Detroit's playoff hopes take a major hit with this loss, and they were a team that I was excited for and a team that I thought could go deep, but I think this team is going to fall short. And I guess missing those coordinators really does hurt them. But ultimately, big win for Pittsburgh, bad loss for Detroit. It was a battle on Sunday night. The New England Patriots took on the Baltimore Ravens, and the New England Patriots win by a score of 28-24. New England clinched their first playoff berth since 2021 with this comeback victory, and they are now 12-3, while the Ravens fall to 7-8. Baltimore struck first with a Derrick Henry 21-yard touchdown run in the opening quarter. The Pats answered back with a Drake made a Hunter Henry touchdown and a Drake made an Andy Berlaga. Drake. The Pats answered back in the second quarter with a Drake made a Hunter Henry touchdown and Andy Berlaga's 45-yard field goal. Ravens then cut it to 13-10 at half. Another field goal after that, and then another field goal for New England after that. They go then in the third quarter. New England goes up 16-10 with another field goal. Baltimore then responded with an 18-yard Zay Flowers run for a touchdown to regain the lead. That was now 17-16. Derrick Henry then scored again from 2 yards out. Patriots then answer back with a Kyle Williams touchdown pass and a 2-point conversion to tie it. And then we had a big Rodamore Stevenson touchdown, 21-yard rushing touchdown in the final minutes to seal the victory and get this win for New England. Drake May went 31 for 34, 380 yards and 2 touchdowns with an interception. Stephon Diggs had 9 catches for 138 yards. Rodamore Stevenson comes in after the injury, after New England loses their running back one. Rodamore Stevenson gets 51 rushing yards and has a big 21-yard go-ahead touchdown to get the victory. The Ravens did what they had to do in terms of at least scoring early, having a great running game. Derrick Henry, 128 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Zay Flowers had 84 receiving yards and a rushing touchdown. But ultimately, Lamar Jackson exited the game with a back injury. Tyler Huntley came in and really couldn't do much after that. So the game ends with the Patriots forcing a critical Ravens fumble late in the game, allowing New England to run out the clock and ultimately getting the victory and getting themselves in the playoffs. All right, for good win for New England. They came into this game needing this victory, and now that they can secure a spot with that victory, it's some good stuff for them. All right, where do we go next? Why don't we talk about the Buffalo Bills and the Cleveland Browns? That was a very big game. The Buffalo Bills narrowly defeat the Cleveland Browns and win by a score of 23-20. Buffalo held on in a tight road game to improve to 11-4 and keep their playoff push strong. The Bills built a 20-10 lead at halftime thanks to effective first half offense and control of the line of scrimmage. Cleveland made it a one-score game in the second half and threatened late, but Buffalo's defense made crucial stops in the fourth quarter to preserve the win. James Cook was the key factor on offense for Buffalo. He was able to get solid yardage and multiple touchdowns, keeping drives alive and wearing down the Browns defense. And the Buffalo defense made big plays. They created turnovers, they sacked the quarterback, and they created a lot of pressure. They were able to shift from momentum from that, even with Josh Allen having a subpar game. But he was able to at least manage the clock and limit mistakes. And the big loss there was Quinshawn Junkins, who's been having a great rookie season. He gets a bad leg injury and ruled out for the game, and definitely ending his season there. But the Bills are able to secure a spot. No one's to clinch the East yet. It's going to come down to those last two games between the Bills and the Patriots. But ultimately, the Bills stay alive in the AFC East with this win. We had another big division matchup, this time in the NFC South, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers took on the Carolina Panthers, and the Carolina Panthers win in Charlotte by a score of 23-20. Carolina was able to seize control of the NFC South with this victory, moving above Tampa Bay in the standings with this win. The Panthers controlled late clock and key defensive stops to hold off the Bucs' comeback. Bryce Young was able to be efficient. He gets 2 touchdowns, and give credit to the Panthers linebacker Lathan Ransom with a big late interception to seal the victory. Tampa's offense showed flashes, but weak inconsistency continued, and they couldn't put Carolina away. And the Panthers ultimately take control of the NFC South after this victory. Great win for Carolina here. The Broncos and the Jaguars. The Denver Broncos lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars by a score of 34-20. And this game was in Denver, by the way. Jacksonville defeat Denver with a surprising home loss. The Broncos end their 11-game winning streak at home from this defeat. Once again, Trevor Lawrence, another great game towards the end of the season. He was able to get multiple touchdowns, both passing and rushing. 3 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown to be exact. And the rise of Parker Washington was great as well. Bo Nix had a career high in yardage but couldn't keep pace with the Jaguars. And Denver's defense was able to get sacks, but they couldn't stop generating stop conversions. And Jacksonville was able to take advantage of that. From this victory, Jacksonville keeps their AFC playoff hopes alive, at least seeding. They are going to be in the playoffs. They're just keeping the seeding alive. And while I think this is a little misstep, there's nothing to worry yet for Denver. But we'll see as the weeks go by. Am I right? So we have the Texans and the Raiders take on each other. And the Texans narrowly defeat Houston by a score of 23-21. Houston has won 7 in a row. Give credit to CJ Stroud, who was able to get lead the Texans to key late game plays offensively. And the Raiders were stopped from making a comeback from the Texans defense. Give credit Derek Singletary Jr. on the Texans, who was able to get a big pick six early in the game. CJ Stroud was able to make big plays, including a big go-ahead touchdown to Dalton Schultz, and was able to manage the clock well in crunch time as well. And then a big play towards the end with Nico Collins calling game. That was great. Ashton Jeanty was a bright spot for Vegas, delivering 2 big touchdowns and was able to get a lot of yardage in the loss. And now Vegas has lost 9 in a row and continues to probably be the very worst team in the NFL. And they need a lot of changes, clearly. But Houston wins and Vegas loses. All right, let's talk Cowboys and Chargers. The Los Angeles Chargers defeat the Dallas Cowboys by a score of 34-17. The Chargers dominated Dallas all game long for the most part. The Chargers scored touchdowns on multiple early drives and never relinquished control. Dallas did briefly lead early after a touchdown, but the Chargers took over with efficient passing and explosive plays. Justin Herbert had 300 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. Marion Hampton, the rookie, came back with a big rushing touchdown and 85 yards on the ground. Dak Prescott started off strong, was able to score early, but ultimately wasn't able to do enough. With this loss, Dallas is now 6-8-1, and that ends any playoff hopes that they had. Chargers are now 11-4, stay in the playoff mix, and hopefully soon can clinch a playoff spot next week. It's definitely Denver's division to win, but the Chargers are there. Denver's there. The Chiefs aren't. Talk about that a little later. All right, this was a surprising one. The Bengals and the Dolphins played each other, where the Bengals won on the road in Miami. They won by a score of 45-21. Cincinnati overwhelmed Miami, especially after the half, turning the game into an absolute blowout. After a competitive first half, the Bengals scored 28 unanswered points in the third quarter, took control and never looked back. 309 yards and 4 touchdown passes for Joe Burrow. Chase Brown had multiple touchdowns himself and strong yardage. Jamar Chase had over 100 receiving yards and key plays throughout as well. Miami rookie Quinn Ewers made his first NFL start, and was great early, but struggled late with turnovers. Now the Dolphins are 6-9, and the Bengals are 5-10. The Falcons and the Cardinals, 2 dog shit teams. Let's be real, but still 2 teams in the NFL nonetheless. Where Atlanta won by a score of 26-19. Atlanta held off Arizona in a close contested game, but they were able to secure the victory with a late defensive stop when CJ Henderson intercepted the Cardinals. The Cardinals was able to get a big interception against the Cardinals in the final 2 minutes. Kirk Cousins had 197 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. Bijan Robinson was able to get significant scrimmage yards in both run and pass game. Falcons earned consecutive victories and continued to build momentum late despite being out of playoff contention. And the Cardinals are just coasting, ready for the end of the season. The Patrick Mahomes Kansas City Chiefs took on the Tennessee Titans. Man, they felt like a regular team for the first time in what? Since 2018. Shoot. The Tennessee Titans defeat the Chiefs by a score of 26-9 in Nashville. Tennessee dominated Kansas City, handling both sides of the ball with a decisive victory. They got their first home win in over 400 days, and it was ironically against the Chiefs, huh? Cam Ward his first solid game of the year, 21 for 28, 2 passing touchdowns, and was able to establish more chemistry. Jeffrey Simmons forced a safety and was able to pressure the quarterback all game long. Tajee Spears had 66 total yards on a rushing touchdown. Gardner Minshew wound up getting hurt, and really the Chiefs had nothing to show for it. So good win for Tennessee. I'm happy for them. Kansas City, we know where they're at. At least Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to go through surgery anymore because he already did it. And the Chiefs are just going to think about next year already. All right, let's go finish it off with the New York teams. So we have the New York Jets take on the New Orleans Saints. The Saints win by a score of 29-6. The Saints dominated throughout, extending their win streak to 3 games. Starting out 2-10 are now 5-10. Jets are 3-12. And while the Jets kept it close in the first half, it was only 6-6 at half. The Saints was able to seize control. Tyler Show has established himself to at least earn his starting quarterback position next year. I think he'll be the starting quarterback for the Saints. And honestly, why not? He threw 308 passing yards. He's got pretty good weapons. You know, Alvin Kamara is old, so if they could get another established running back, get some more receivers, they could protect him. The Saints are pretty good, and they have a great offensive mind of Kellen Moore getting in. And give credit to the kicker, Charles Smith. 5 field goals, a team record. Tyler Show threw a 23-yard touchdown pass to Chris Olave. And then Taysom Hill found Olave for a 38-yard touchdown as well. Saints defense was relentless, did not allow any Jets touchdowns, and created pressure and forced mistakes all game long. I mean, Brady Cook, give credit to him. But, bro was pressured all game long and was under duress, and they owned him. Give credit to the Saints with this victory. They won the 3rd in a row. The Jets are just a mess. What else is new? And then let's talk about the New York Giants and the Minnesota Vikings to end this off. Oh my god, the fucking Giants, man. I love this team so much. But they played so bad again today at home against a Minnesota team that isn't going anywhere either, but at least they showed up today. The Vikings win by a slim score of 16-13. A defensive grinded out contest saw Minnesota eke out a victory. Vikings led 13-10 at half. The scoring came from 2 field goals and a 12-yard rushing touchdown by J.J. McCarthy. And then Will Richards' 30-yard field goal late in the fourth quarter was able to give them the decisive points they needed. The Vikings recorded multiple sacks. Aaron Jones was able to contribute on offense. The Giants' defense was able to have their moments, but dumb penalties preventing a pick six. And Jackson Dart had under 40 passing yards, had an interception, was sacked all the time. One of the worst games I've seen the Giants play. They were just, too bad the Vikings weren't able to score more points to make it a blowout, because that was what they deserved. We'll have plenty to talk about with the Giants in the weeks and months to come going into the draft. We need to get rid of this GM. Obviously, we know Kapka's not coming back. He's literally hasn't won a game since he's been interim head coach. It's almost been, a month and a half. And yeah, I'm still sucker watching this, but hopefully this team can turn it around next year with the right coach, a GM that knows who to pick and what he's doing. And we have some good vibes because there is talent on this team. They've been killed by injuries all season long, but I only hope. And you know what? I'll even say I know this team will figure this shit out, but take this opportunity to pick the right people to figure it out for you and the fans. So just look ahead to next week, specifically in the Monday Night Football game. We got a big Monday Night Football game. We have the Colts trying to stay alive in the standings, and is trying to stay alive and get in the playoffs. We have San Francisco trying to also stay in the mix as well, with Los Angeles losing and Seattle winning. this is a good opportunity for Seattle to, for sorry, not Seattle, for San Francisco, who keeps getting healthier, to jump in and establish themselves and get in a good place in the playoffs. So 49ers are opening as a 5.5 point favorite. And sorry, excuse me. San Francisco's opening as a minus a 5.5 point favorite. Take that. Philip Rivers, it's such a great story. It really is. He's playing against a much harder defense. While Seattle definitely tested them themselves, but I think he's gonna be pressured all game long. They're gonna really heavily rely on Jonathan Taylor. See if he has the game of his life. But ultimately it's going to be a tough game. And for Indy, and I just think San Francisco has the advantage because they have a strong pass rush going up against a 44-year-old quarterback who's not mobile whatsoever. Maybe he can make short passes, but it's going to be hard to get that offense moving against a great San Francisco team. And even though Indy's going to be at home, that San Francisco team is going to be very tough. Well, no stranger things have happened, but I'm pretty sure you should take the points with San Francisco minus 5.5 right there. And a look to next week, week 17, fantasy championships for some people, and also teams trying to win divisions, stay in playoff races. This includes we're gonna have games on Christmas, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So on Christmas Day, man, Christmas Day, oh man, Netflix hauled ass to get this Christmas game, only to have Dak Prescott go up against what's the I mean, there's some weird quarterback matchups, but we got I can't think of the name third string, but we have the Cowboys opening as a minus 5.5 point favorite against Washington. The Lions and Vikings. Detroit trying to get a big win on Christmas themselves. 6.5, 6 point favorites. Denver and the Chiefs at home. We all know damn well they wanted to see Mahomes on Christmas night. Kelsey, all that. And then you are going to get the third string quarterback. And the Broncos team, who just came off a bad loss against Jacksonville, they wanted to erase that and get momentum back. So they're opening as 12.5 point favorites. Saturday, we have a big matchup. Heck, it could even be a preview for the playoffs. The Texans and Chargers, that's going to be a hell of a game. The Chargers opening as 1.5 point favorites. Ironically, Saturday, too, you have two teams that their season could be defined by injuries, the Ravens and the Packers. Packers seeing what they could do, what they have left. They're opening as 2.5 point favorites. That's at 8 o'clock Saturday. NFL Network for Texans and Chargers. Then Sunday, we have the Patriots and the Jets. Patriots as a steep 12.5 point favorite. The battle for the first overall pick. Whoever loses wins the first overall pick. The Giants and the Raiders in Vegas. Steelers and Browns. Pittsburgh as a 4.5 point favorite. Saints and Titans. New Orleans as a 2.5 point favorite. Jaguars and Colts. That's a big division matchup, but Jacksonville's looking great. And the Colts trying to see what they can have. I mean, if they win against San Francisco on Monday night, that will be establishing a lot in this game, but we'll see there. Dolphins and Bucks, battle of Florida teams. Tampa's a 5.5 point favorite. Seahawks Panthers. Seattle 7.5 point favorite. Cardinals Bengals. The big one here, Eagles and Bills, with the Bills playing for a major playoff spot. I mean, the Patriots with against the Jets, that's a shoo-in right there. They're going to try to embarrass them. So the Bills have a very hard matchup against an Eagles team. But despite them already clinching the playoffs, they want to get better seeding. That's going to be an intriguing game. The Bears and 49ers is going to be a hell of a game, too. Sunday Night Football, that's going to be a great matchup. And then the Rams and the Falcons. So, pretty split on the board. It's going to be interesting, but we'll see what ultimately happens. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. Talk to you again on Sunday night into Monday. And hopefully, we are talking about established playoff positioning, or most importantly, hopefully, we're talking about some great games like we did tonight. I love you all. Peace. Check out our reaction to the first round of the college football playoff tweet cap on Wednesday to talk about the year in review. Peace out, everybody. I love you.